I was born to be. So let me talk about people always say engagements don't count. And my engagement changed my life, and it helped me understand me, because I feel like most women we're sold the Cinderella story of marriage, right? So when I was young, I was sold the Cinderella story. Like, oh, you meet somebody, Prince Charming. So I did what we recommend girls do. I went to college. I went to Hampton University, got into a relationship. After college, we got engaged. And I remember, it's so funny, my mother, everybody was happy. My daddy said to me, he was like, you are not ready to be anybody's wife. My dad knew. He said, you are so ambitious that you're going to have to give up everything of who you really are to be this man's wife. And I remember being so mad at my dad, because I was like, I would think you would be happy, right? But he knew me. So one thing I loved about my engagement is that me and my ex-fiance, we took it serious. And we were like, if we get married, it's me and you until Jesus. Yep. Like, no matter what, if we do this, we end this. And having that pact in the beginning caused us both to really take this as a serious thing. What we learned was we had a real love for each other, but we had different life plans. And somebody was going to have to give up their life plan in order for the family to work. Now, at this time, I'm young. I'm in my 20s. I'm starting off in radio. I'm a graduate from Hampton University, but my first radio job, I made $7 an hour. And I'll never forget, I got a full-time job in Buffalo, New York, and they wanted me to sign a 3-year contract. I wouldn't sign the contract. So they said, okay, well, we're going to just let you go. It was December 20th. 5 days later, I didn't know, but my boyfriend then was planning to propose. He proposed on Christmas Day. Wow. So I got fired, and then I got engaged on Christmas Day. So I didn't have a job, so I ended up moving with him. This is how my Chicago run began, because he was an electrical engineer living in Illinois. So I ended up moving to Illinois. So we had spent a year long distance while I was working in Buffalo. So the first 2 weeks was amazing, right? Because it's like, okay, we're here. It's like honeymoon time. After that 2 weeks, he's going to work every day. I have no financial issues. Like, he has a reliable career, probably still has that job with that company at a higher level now. I moved in with him, so it was no extra bills. All I had to do was just get married and pop out some babies. And I said, this is not my life. This is not what God birthed me to become.
It sounds like we're heading towards a setup here of a scene, right, of a woman who once again chose her career over her marriage or her potential marriage, right? Let's make this interactive, guys. Of course, I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts as usual. But that's what this sounds like. It sounds like this is where we're headed, right? Let's keep listening.
And I knew I wasn't a housewife. I was like, I would not be happy as just somebody's wife and having their kids. Like, there's just so much inside of me. And I decided I'm going to pursue this career that has no guarantee. Like, literally, radio is probably one of the most unreliable careers you can bet on. But it was like, I had to bet on me. And for a long time, I remember I used to be like, I chose my career over love. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't choose my career over love. I chose who I am. Like, this is who I am, whether I was making $1 off it or not. This is who Kendra is.
So why you say it had to be a choice, though? So what changed? What made it not work?
So what happened? Okay, I'm in radio. I ended up getting a job in Philly.
All right,
so I got fired from this job in Chicago. So now I had to relocate to Philly. And we were already kind of rocky because we were discovering, like, at that time he was ready to like have children and get married, like, because he didn't want to be an old father, right? And I was like, well, I'm not having your child until we get married. And so we were learning, like, okay, we don't really have the same alignment for life goals. And I knew if I took the job in Philly, it was a wrap. There was no way we were going to be able to survive another long distance relationship.
I'm not ready to have your child till we marry. So she knew that she was not ready to pop out babies. But at the same time, she wanted to secure the ring and the marriage to brag to her friends that she has sticked her name, she has gotten married, and she wanted to use the guy's desire for a baby as a carrot to dangle all over him so that he should rush and get married to her. Because she knew that she wasn't ready to settle down and pop out babies. She had already said that before, earlier. But she was willing to use that as a carrot to lure in the guy, for the guy to wed her, to get married to her. You see what women do? That's a lesson there for you guys. That's why when a woman comes to your life and she's the one calling the shots, she's telling you what to do as a condition for you to get her love or to get her as wife, don't follow those things, because most of the time, if a woman loves you and she adores you, she's going to wait for you to give her the cues, to give her direction on how your family will go, what visions you have for the family. She's not going to be the one imposing her will on you. So that's a lesson right there.
And that's what happened. And I moved to Philly and our relationship did not survive.
So you chose your career over your potential marriage, what could have been your husband. That's the simple explanation to this. You see, I understand reframing the past to maybe soften the blow of reality, because you don't want the dark roast, right? You want a little bit of decaf. And so you want to reframe it. I'm just being who I am. No, I think chicks do this all the time. And when I say women do this all the time, I mean what we've seen plenty of times, the chicks who brag about their degrees, who brag about their career accomplishments, so on and so forth, and they do not have a ring on their finger. And their whole thing is, well, I'm not going to sacrifice who I am, but the truth is you can't have it all. And I can already tell here that I'm going to have my disagreements with both of them. Of course, different perspectives, and yours is always welcome. Let's keep listening.
How long y'all together from the day that y'all committed?
We were in college. So we started in college, and then I want to say we met probably like my sophomore year in college. You have this one of those, you together, then you're not together. Yeah. Then after, our engagement was like 3 years. Once we got engaged, it was like a 3-year process. So by this time, we really are just, because the thing is, he wasn't a bad guy and there wasn't like infidelity. It's different when you learn that, oh, I really love you, but we're just not on the same life plan. Yes. That's it's easy to leave a person if they cheat on you, if they're disrespectful. But when the love is real, but the life assignment isn't aligned, that's harder.
Isn't it interesting that there's always that situation, right? They find this guy. This is how it starts. Ready to propose, madly in love with Melissa Ford. She gave the same exact story before becoming a video vixen and now turning into a raging feminist. She also had a situation where a man who was good, no cheating, nothing bad at all, who in their words is usually a good guy, nothing terrible about him, but they just want to explore more, right? And go out there into the streets.
So, but I had to go for what I know, right? And I took the job in Philly, and then that dissolved. And I remember I was really, really sad. But he ended up moving on. But I share this story because some would say this is like 20 years ago. And it's like, okay, 20 years later, you're still not married. You're still not a wife. Would you make that same bet? Would you make the same decision?
And I'll say you would.
Absolutely, I would. I would have made it a day earlier because I had to choose me. Like, I am not going to suppress who I am just to be somebody's wife. Like, you asked me outside, you said, am I somebody's wife? I said, I don't know. And I'm okay with that. Like, if I don't get married, it will not.
No, tell him how that conversation came up.
Because he writing letters to ghosts.
Guys, let me tell you one thing. The number one cause of divorce is partners who don't have similar goals, partners who don't have goals that are aligned with each other. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a goal of becoming a father, getting your children early, and then she has a goal of, let's say you meet her when she's 24, and you have a goal that you want your woman young, you want your woman to start popping out kids before she turns 25. And she has a goal of, you know what, I'm going to start making kids when I'm 35. So she's thinking that 10 years down the road, that's when she's going to start giving you babies. You are thinking that, okay, a year from now, I'm going to start having babies with her. Those are not similar goals. Those are not aligned goals. Now, but she's not going to tell you. She's going to want you to get married to her, propose to her, give her an expensive ring, give her an expensive wedding so that she can brag to her friends. And then once you get married to her, she's going to bait you and then she's going to switch. She's going to say, you know what, I'm not ready for babies. And then before you know it, the marriage has dissolved. That's one example. But bait and switch is always the case in most marriages. And the reason that marriages break is not because, most of the time, it's not because for finance. It's not even because of infidelity. It might break because of infidelity on the woman's part, but most of the time, it might not be infidelity on the man's part. So most of the time, the reason that marriages break is because women or men or both, they have visions or goals that are not aligned with each other. And that's why it's very important that before you get married to any woman, you spend a number of years testing whether your visions align and then agreed on it. So the first thing you need to share those goals, share your goals and your visions, and then try to leave it out to see whether you are really committed to align goals. If your goals are aligned with each other, one person should not be going left and the other person is going right. If that's the case, it's not going to work. So if you don't test it out, you're going to regret, because you're going to hurriedly get married to this woman, do all the expensive stuff, waste your time, waste your money, and then before you know it, waste years. She might even give you some babies. But after that, she's still going to divorce you to go and live her desires, to go and live the life that she had planned that she didn't tell you. So be very careful, guys. Be very, very careful.